Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro. We are going to review Palm Springs, directed by Max Barbaco, written by Andy Ciara, and starring Andy Samberg and Kristen Milioti. This film just came to Hulu. I saw it at Sundance. I was loving it. I was eating it up. I was hyping it up. And I was very excited for when this movie would release because when I saw it, I was like, who wouldn't like this movie? Now that it is here, I'm very excited because everybody loves it, indeed.
You really hyped me up for this film. And I gotta say, like, everything you said it was gonna be, it was that to me. Like, you said it was gonna be a rom-com that delivers on its rom-com promise, on just being a good rom-com, and it absolutely did that. It was very funny. It really, like, makes you, like, feel for them as a couple. You know, it's hard not to swoon at this movie sometimes, like, especially around, like, the middle, when, you know, their chemistry's kicking up. And it was really funny, and it didn't have, like, scenes that weren't funny. It didn't have scenes that were, like, trying to be funny, and it was just, like, bathroom humor stuff. Like, it was all very
Tasteful.
yeah, pitch perfect, very tasteful.
It brought a lot of heart. It even has moments that are thought-provoking and has a little depth to it.
Yeah, dare I say even depth. A time loop movie, it's going to try to have some depth, or else it's like, what are you doing? But what I appreciated about this one was that it didn't do the same depth that Groundhog Day did, where it's like, live every day to the fullest. Like, that's the easiest thing to go for. This one was different, and I'm not going to tell you what it did, but I have to say that it was somewhat surprising, like, where it ended up, just the lessons that were learned. I don't think the film overall was, like, shocking, like, where it turned out in terms of plot, but it's delivering as a rom-com first and foremost, and it's sprinkling everything else in, and it's being, like, an actually good movie while it is doing that thing. And that's just what makes the movie so enjoyable.
You know, there are a lot of things that make this movie enjoyable. I mean, there's a lot of parts working so well. The script is pitch perfect.
It's well tailored,
Beautifully
you know?
tinkered and tailored.
Like, you bring it to the local shop owner and he just knows exactly what to do with your suit, and it fits just right. It really has a snug but comfortable fit.
I think the visual look of the movie is above average.
Yeah.
It's not as, like, clean and, like, tripod-y as a studio comedy. Some shots look pretty nice. Like, I thought that the way that they lit everything looked really good.
Yeah, it still has that, like, very, like, comfortable feeling, that the warmth that the lighting gives you, which is, again, like, rom-coms are supposed to do. They're supposed to make you feel good and warm.
The first time I watched it, like, it's just infectiously fun and makes you
Yeah.
feel good the whole movie. Even when
Well,
it's,
you know, I felt a little sad at parts of it, but that's okay.
yeah, it's
supposed to
heartwarming
feel
and
that.
touching in the ways that you want it to be. But, like, before I watched the movie, I was thinking, like, am I gonna feel that again? But then right when the movie started, I was just transported back into that. Like,
It's a movie that if it came on, I would watch it.
It's
Because
just so well
I would
done.
just feel good, and then I'd have to sit down because my endorphins are, like, kicking up.
Endorphins.
And then, you know, once it has your endorphins, like the halfway point, just lots and lots of, like, candy, sugar, and then, you know, it tries to get more serious, and then you're, like, you know, you're kind of in it because your heart's in it. Like, you feel for this person, and you want to see what's gonna happen. I mean, that's just how rom-coms are supposed to work.
And they're rarely this good.
Yeah,
This is
that's-
the best
but that's the
rom-com
thing.
I've seen in
Yeah.
years. I can't even
It's
remember.
great.
It's one of the best rom-coms I've ever seen.
This is your next date night. You know, you got a girlfriend, you got a boyfriend, you want to take them to the movies, but, you know, you're a film person. You want to go see First Cow, but you're like, you know what? We're going to watch Palm Springs because it's not only a movie I know my date would like, it's a movie I would also like. You're both going to enjoy this movie, you know, film buff or not.
It's got something for everybody, you know what I'm saying? The way in which this movie has fun with the premise, you will not be thinking, oh, they did it before. They do a Groundhog Day. They always do time loop movies. No,
some assholes.
I do not care. If you actually watch the movie, it's so imaginative and infectiously fun. It feels like the writer, you know, thought about a lot about time loop movies and the comedic potential and said, like, well, the day, like, literally resets. Anything can happen. And this movie really has, like, limitless possibilities. It really stretches this premise in a way that's really funny and explores it in a really fun way. And one thing I really like about it is that it feels very modern. I feel like it knows what rom-coms have done in the past, and it's trying to do something a little more new, a little updated. Like, sometimes the editing is reminiscent of, like, that internet comedy, like that fast-paced stuff. It's a little self-aware in the sense of humor. It's not like macho humor either. The female character is very well written.
It's kind of like the female character that like drinks too much and is a mess that you see in like Bridesmaids and Trainwreck,
Sure.
but it doesn't feel like it's just digging into that trope or like that it doesn't know what else it is.
They gave her like a lot to be funny with. Like she was not the straight character. She was not like the serious one and then Andy Samberg's goofy. Like they were both very funny. I mean, the performances, like this chemistry was perfect. I couldn't imagine it any other way with
Yeah.
these two stars.
Yeah, all the acting, the chemistry, it all just felt right. It was very easy and effortless to see every member of the cast in their designated roles. J.K. Simmons is another person that like obviously deserves mention here because he just fits so well. Like all the casting was just so perfect that you don't think for a second like, oh, who is this? I'm not sure if that like I know what this character is doing. Like you recognize it very quickly. And even though they have comedic actors like Andy Samberg in it, they're able to hit the more serious notes really well. I think Andy Samberg brings a sort of levity to the serious moments that the film actually needs, because if it takes itself too seriously, then you're like, okay, you're being a little cliched, you're taking yourself, you think you're a little too deep. But he keeps it a comedy even while that stuff's happening. I don't know exactly like how I would put it. I don't think he's consciously doing that. It's just something that comes out. Like he's very well cast and he's just able to say those like more meaningful things while kind of being like funny or cheeky about it. It didn't feel like gross when they tried to insert like meaning into it.
I mean, I've never liked Andy Samberg more. This isn't coming from someone who's necessarily like an Andy Samberg fan. He won me over so hard, and I didn't even know who Kristen Milioti was before this, and she was great. And both these actors need to be nominated for Golden Globes, and
yeah.
the movie needs to be nominated for Best Comedy Musical.
Oh yeah, but we know the Golden Globes freaking hate real comedies.
Sometimes.
They love
Nominated.
any musical you put in front of their faces.
That's true.
Dog food, eat it up. But a comedy, you'd think that comedy musical like cat food, dog food, but they only like the dog food. They for some reason they don't like the cat food. I think there's a lot of cats in the HFPA. Because apparently they didn't like The Big Sick, which was a great rom-com.
Well, you're
Not
right.
quite as rom-com as this film, but still a rom-com nonetheless, and didn't get nominated.
Yeah, that had an easy.
And
like,
it got, I mean, The Greatest Showman got nominated for that. I'm gonna start getting really emotional and sad about that.
You're right about they liking dog food, because even when they were presented with a Cats musical, that was the one bar that they set that they said we're not going to go that low.
If they did Dogs, that would have swept.
Easy contender for Comedy of the Year, like easy.
And now, is this in the more competitive or less competitive screenplay category?
It is in the more competitive screenplay category.
Okay, so it's gonna have an uphill climb.
It definitely has potential. I mean,
maybe. They could easily just shut it out.
it would be a great nomination if it is just screenplay. Perfect, amazing. Like,
It's just hard to see hype. Like it just you don't know where the hype is when it comes out on demand like that. It's just very hard to tell.
I think there's definitely a lot of hype around it.
As for what things I might not have liked about the movie, there's really not much I didn't like. I might have wanted the ending to go somewhere a little bit different, but the movie's supposed to live up to the genre's expectations. So the fact that it did that is a good thing, but maybe I would have liked to see something different because it's just my taste. You know, the other quibble I'd have with this is like I wanted more. I could have watched 8 episodes of this and I would have been happy to like come back to it, like sit back and relax. And like crack a cold one. Not a beer though. I do no alcohol bad, very alcohol bad. Just crack a cold apple juice, kick back and relax and watch another episode of this. I wanted to go in even more on like who the characters were, what their past was. And it's not a flaw with the movie. Like the movie fills its runtime really well.
But that's what's going to make this such a rewatchable movie. Like there are going to be people who watch this 10 times because it's just so fun and it's also on streaming. If you put this on again tomorrow, and I've already seen it twice, I would just be like, yeah, I'll like watch it, sure. That sprinkle of depth, I think, is really special. It really does like elevate the movie. It's not like they threw it on there to like try to be deep. It's like, yeah, this is what the movie's about. It's like a character who has the comfort of living in this state. And J.K. Simmons is in it, and he's like utilized the way that you'd hope that they would use him. Like they know that he's like,
he's not just in one
J.K.
scene
Simmons.
and it's like, come on, that man won an Oscar. What are you doing? There's also a great drinking game you can play with this. And again, I'm talking apple juice. Every time Andy Samberg sips from his drink, you sip from yours. Great drinking game. You'll be on the floor. Sugar high from apple juice.
in conclusion, Everybody see the movie. I do not care who you are, what your taste is. If you don't like it, you can attempt to explain it to me, but I will still not understand you.
Yeah, I couldn't think of many people who wouldn't like this film, though.
It's great. It's one of the best movies of the year, folks. Like, if this came out last decade, I would have said, oh, this is like one of the best comedies of the decade, because I can't even think of that many. But this is definitely, like, if you'd ask me,
it's a gem. It's a rare gem.
We're going high with this one, folks. It's a 9 out of 10.
I also give it a 9 out of 10.
You should wave your wand when you do that.
I would also give it a 9 out of 10.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
How will you get out of your time loop?